Up, Jason?
Hello. Hey, how you doing?
What's going on, buddy?
Oh, you won't believe me. I'm sitting here at a computer. If that ain't me, I'm just taking my motorcycle license test.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So what have you been up to?
Oh, not a whole lot, man. Not a whole lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I like.
It's been a pretty good week here too for me. So
Yep. I like that sometimes. It's needed.
yeah, actually it's not been bad at all. So a relaxing weekend and so yeah. Hey Amber,
Hi.
how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, you won't believe it. I'm sitting here at a computer. You won't believe it.
Oh,
Taking my
exciting.
motorcycles test.
I love it.
What, Cooper? Yeah. How you been doing?
I saw you with your doggies at the dog wash. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yep. You did. You did. Lori said, let's take the dogs to the dog wash. So we did.
Harold's here.
My guy.
Yes. Chasing the ball. Kick the ball. Kick the ball. How's everybody else doing? Hi, Michael. Hi, Portia.
What up?
Hi.
Oh, my guy, Philip Foster's up in here.
What up, Philip?
Amber, you remember Philip? He drove Mom's car out.
I have the pictures of you guys with Stinky Marley the dog.
Yeah.
Hi, Philip.
He's in here somewhere. He's got shoddy service, so he's probably just listening, but it's great to have him. Let's see.
Hey,
Well, shoot a looty.
I wish I could see more than 4 people at a time.
I know that first time we could do it, but I'm not sure how to do it. I thought it was just my.
You gotta go on your computer.
So if you do it on your computer, Jason, you'll be able to see everybody and you can, like 20 people on one page.
I'm lucky to do it on this, so I'm going to stay right here.
All right. Well,
I'm lucky.
So it might happen.
You are lucky.
No, you're blessed.
Yeah, that's
You're
true.
blessed. There is no such thing as luck. You're blessed.
Dimples, we couldn't even see that with the beard.
All right, let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay.
Harold.
All right, let's get into it.
I'm listening.
Let's get into it. Yeah, so we see the title, Don't Underestimate Your Absence. So it wasn't meant to be morbid in the way of like not being here on the planet. It's more of like just your absence in anybody's life. Sometimes we get busy, right? Sometimes we're not connected with some people as often as we used to be, or as we want to be, or we want them to be, or whatever might be the case. Life getting in the way. But I think what I wanted to chat about today was really about not underestimating the power of your absence. We talk about being present for people and being involved, but when we're not there or absent from a situation or relationship, it's much more powerful to me what can be happening that we're not even thinking about, right? Like sometimes we do get busy and we disconnect from a relationship of any kind for a long period of time before we like, oh, that person's name came up, but oh, I need to reach out to them, and you realize it's been months or almost a year, like, because that's how prioritized our minds are in other things, right? We can't think about everything all the time, but I think the power of it, not underestimating your absence, is that your absence, is a whole, like, don't underestimate the hole that it will leave in somebody else's space, right? Like, don't underestimate the fact that you not being there or around or available, what it's doing to the other side of that situation or the other side of that relationship. So not underestimating the gap or the hole or the void you leave in somebody else's life. Knowing that each one of us are made for great things, and we're remarkable people. Excuse me. Remarkable people that each have something to offer in a big way to this world, to the people closest to us, to the world at large, even though we feel small sometimes, or we feel like the things we're doing are insignificant in like a world status. We think maybe like local community, local family, in our inner circles, but it's okay to think globally. This is how things happened before we had this computer. This is how things happened before we had the phones or we got connected with anybody. How did a message get spread? And it was through connectivity of people, but somebody had to say something at some point. Somebody had to show up. Somebody had to be present each and every day. Somebody had to keep showing up and make that message so prominent in people's brains that they spread it and they shared it. And it became, maybe it was in California, and it was in New York in a few months, and then it was in another part of the world. I mean, it's okay for us to think globally. Sometimes it gets messy thinking about it in that sense because it's so big. The world is so big. There's so many people. How could I simply affect that many people? Like, what can I possibly do? We think of ourselves in small in that way, but we are created for greatness, and we have each and every one of us has something particular to offer to this world, the people we love around us, people at large, and it's a responsibility to manifest that, to step into it, to take control of that. We every time that we don't, or we choose in our own mind that we're too little to, or that's not me, that's that person. I guess I'm not really like that. I've never really affected people like that. That's not true. All of us, every time we step away from that responsibility, we crush that, get a little further away and crush that dream of like what our true happiness and paradise in our own lives really is. So, we are warriors, we're survivors at our core. We're meant for greatness. And the greatness comes in all different shapes and sizes. This is our collective problem that I feel is happening is we hold greatness on this pedestal and what we think it is, and we treat it like it's only meant for a select few of us and not for all of us. And that's the wrong way of thinking about it. Greatness is for all of us. That's a misconception of it. We're all meant for greatness in some way. Carrying somebody's groceries to their car, greatness, right? Shoveling somebody's walk in a snowstorm. Maybe they don't have a shovel, or you notice that they can't get out, or every time it snows, it's a couple of days go by. Doing it without ask, helping somebody out, right? telling a stranger like a compliment, or they're beautiful, or complimenting their shoes, something unexpected. It takes nothing from us, right? Letting a friend know how much they mean to you into this world. Talk about globally. And that we, the big thing for me is that we don't ever take the time to think of the impact that we have on the other side of that situation, like carrying the groceries for somebody. Easy for you. Maybe you're on your way out, you have free hand, you carry them, you go, thanks, blah, blah, and you're moving on with your day. But the greatness could have been the effect you just had in that person's life. So when I say we're all meant for greatness, just because it's not on your list of accomplishments that you want to make done. I want to be the CEO of this company. I want this relationship and this kids, and I want my life to be great and perfect and things. That's the wrong way of thinking about it. We're meant for greatness to affect change in others, not force change, affect change. So the impact we have, it could be the greatness in somebody else's life, right? And that's the selflessness we talk about, but it's not just about our greatness. It's not about our ego and what we think or think we can't do to this world. We think in small terms of our inner circles and groups and who listens to me and who's friends with me and who's going to really care. But people with real message and real discernment and real knowledge of what God's put in our own souls and our own hearts and the greatness he put in you, when you can recognize that and know, you don't care who's listening, because that's not really the point. It's not about how many or who you think you can. It's about the people that aren't listening to you, that you know of, that you don't know how you affected that person because you carried their groceries, you never saw them again. Or you were standing in line at Starbucks and you complimented this woman's shoes or this guy's hair, just simple stuff. And it changed their day. Maybe it inspired them to do something. Or maybe they're having a day where they're, giving up on humanity and you flipped a switch. And they're like, you know what? There are still good people, and it changed their day and then their life and their things. So greatness isn't about us and what we deserve or what we're supposed to get. It's about spreading enough around so that it sticks on other people. And then, you know what? It comes to you. If we're really paying attention, we all know that. It's just, we always judge what comes to us in levels of importance. Like, it was nice, but not greatness. Well, I beg to differ. I think almost everything that comes at you unasked or unannounced is greatness, because you can't judge how somebody came at you and the intention they put behind it. You can judge yourself. You can judge your standards, your list of what I need in my life, which is fucking bullshit, right? At the core of it, it's our own self getting in the way of what we think we deserve in this world. But the truth of the matter is that we don't deserve anything. We earn everything. We don't deserve anything. So we show up every day. You show up every single day, no excuses. And the only reason we do that is not because we're trying to be a hard ass or because we're better than anybody. It's because we can, and because we're capable of showing up, when so many aren't capable and choose not to. So some people, they don't have a choice. They wake up every day that cannot show up for anybody else. They have it going through physical or mental or damage in their own world that they cannot physically show up for other people or mentally. Then there's the other side of the people that just choose not to, right? Because they are disheartened, or maybe they lost God in their life or purpose or anything we ever want to call it, and they choose not to. So where's the responsibility? It's responsibilities in the rest of us to show up every day that are capable, that can and choose to show up every day. So we can show the fuck up and spread what's already put in our hearts. It's already given to us. Every single human being that's born to this world has a purpose for greatness. And like I said, some that we honor, or whatever we call it, look up to, honor the bullshit like statue of a celebrity or whatever these words are, which are just made up bullshit levels of societal ranking. We do that. We decide, oh, this person's amazing. They're so great. I mean, so could you, and guess what? Here's a beautiful thing. You can do anything that you see anybody else do. A famous person, a politician, anybody you look up to, you think is so amazing and great. You can do anything they do. You can also fuck up just like they do. This is the beauty. This is the ultimate equalizer. In my life, somewhere along the way, I don't know what it did to me or what did it to me or when, but I never really had this like thing in me that really impressed me by meeting people. Like when I was lucky enough to travel around and for one of my jobs, meet so many like amazing people and famous people or athletes or just people I even like read about or heard about. And for some reason, I just, somewhere along the way, I had this thing that I just never really saw anybody different than myself. When I met somebody that I maybe read about or looked up or I knew, or I felt more of like confirmation that I can do that if I chose to, right? Like I could be them if I wanted to. And then what intrigued me more was finding out more about the other stuff that nobody sees. That's more like us. The same stuff that everybody has to go through every single day. I don't care how much money you have or fame or freaking personal assistance. There are certain things in this life that each one of us as human beings cannot deny and we have to go through. And that's what we all share. That's that energy. That's that empathy that we feel amongst us when we're in the same room with somebody, regardless of our classifications of one another. You can be the janitor in that room and you can be the CEO in that room, and those two people can feel the same thing they have to go through every day if their eyes are open. So there's no difference between us. We all have greatness. We have chose to put that greatness in an order of priority in this world, which is a lot of BS. But the real important shit is showing up every day, not getting praise for it, except from yourself. Show up every day, share your greatness, ego off the fucking board. And that if all that matters at the end of the day, you feel good about what you're doing and your moral compass is in a row, and this is not about the Bible, this is not about your religion, this is not about morals your parents taught you shouldn't do this, or I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about your own personal set of standards for your life that truly make you happy in your heart and your mind, and you're peaceful. So when you get up in the morning, you feel good. When you go to bed, you feel grateful. That's what I'm talking about. If we show up like that, greatness is being given back. All the greatness we got put into us, we're putting out. And guess what? The trickle effect is unlimited. You could be global and not even know you're global. This is the power of it. You know, I told my sister this, probably the only person that knows, but a long time, or 5 years ago or something. First couple of years I was in my company, I thought of local. I thought Scottsdale in Arizona. I tried to get a chunk of right there, and I tried to do that. And I was at a random fundraiser in Atlanta, Georgia. Had nothing to do with my company. I wasn't my industry. And I was talking to this dude and about something about the food that was in there. We were talking, and then we got talking, and he goes, "Oh, so what do you do?" He did something nutrition or something, or plated, sent to your house food. And he goes, "What do you do?" I go, I own a small little like sports performance company in Scottsdale. He's like, "Oh, really?" He's like, I kind of do some business in Vegas. He goes, "What's it called?" I said, "Combine Performance." He goes, "Oh yeah, I follow you guys. It's sick." And he had my stuff on his phone. And I couldn't, in the moment, I was kind of like, when he first said, "Oh yeah," I go, "No, you're probably thinking of somebody else." Because we weren't in my environment, we weren't in golf, we weren't in that situation. But the point of the story is sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And I didn't need to know that somebody in Atlanta was following me and was impressed by it. But more importantly, what it taught me was that more people than we know are watching you. And they care. And some of the people, not some of, mostly the silent people that will never comment or maybe never even double tap or like or reach out to you are your biggest fans. That's the greatness I'm talking about. Maybe you never see that old lady again. You carry the groceries in the store. But I bet you she remembers that. Maybe forever. That's a pretty big impact. Maybe that compliment changed that person's life because maybe they were getting coffee because today was going to be their last day on earth. And they just weren't feeling it. They can't take it anymore. And you hit them with, "I see you," a compliment, simple. And maybe it wasn't. So the greatness comes in so many forms. And if we stop defining the words as we got taught them, we could do amazing things. There is no restrictions on any word, the meaning of it, the growth of it, how big you can or cannot be. It's up to you to get up, show up, be there, and be present, because your absence is more of a factor than anything else. You know?
Yeah, and share the stuff too.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
Just
today,
like I've shared Portia's
Yeah.
stuff on that YouTube stuff she's doing to Dad, and he don't know how to like stuff. And then I shared it to somebody else, and I don't think he likes stuff. He just follows everybody or whatever, watches it, and then he passes it on to somebody else. You know, a lot of people just watch it, like you say. You don't know.
Yeah. And that's the important part, right? But if you don't send that, or let's start core, she doesn't make it, doesn't send it to you. You don't send it to anybody else. I mean, this is what life is. But if the first action or the second action doesn't exist, then we stop the chain. Nobody's spreading anything, right? And most of the time, the people that, when Amber and I did the podcast, when I started my personal podcast and I started having her on early on, some of the people that were most affected by it never told me for the longest time. And they were the most surprising people. Some of my clients, some people that are way older than me. A guy came bawling to me one time about that. He thought that he was listening to him talk about his dad. Like that kind of stuff. I would have never known that. He just broke down one day and like, I was bullshitting about the podcast with my partner, Travis, and we were laughing. And then he's like, I got to tell you something. He pulled me aside. So that was 6 months into it. But like, to your point, Jason, like, yeah, your dad maybe will never like it. Maybe he doesn't share it, but maybe it affects him every single day. Maybe it changes his attitude every single day. Maybe it like is the thing he looks forward to every single day. That's
You know what gets me? Them cards. I stopped at work because I go by his house every day for work. Them cards are sitting on this table still, and they're all sorted out. I'm baffled. The last person I would think would have them sorted out, and that was 2 months ago.
Got them set up like solitaire on the table.
Yeah, seriously.
That's
crazy.
It's obviously important though, right?
The last person in my mind would do that.
Yeah, so Portia has that effect on people. So she's a volunteer at the gym where we teach people with Parkinson's disease how to box and use their balance and strength to, create dopamine.
I've seen videos of that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's so awesome. We're so lucky to like be in these people's lives because they're like some of the most amazing people on earth. But we have this boxer from the Bronx. He's 83 years old, dude. And he is like such a kind of curmudgeon. Like he reminds me kind of like a little bit of like Scrooge. Like he goes out of his way to not be touched or not be hugged or not be too loved or don't too many people say hello to me or whatever, and we always, we all catch on to it. And he's a widow and he lives alone, but he's got kids and grandkids that he looks forward to seeing that he'll light up about, but he was a teacher for 34 years and he was an avid athlete. He hiked and biked and everything. He lived in the city, so he didn't have to have a car and whatnot his whole entire life, 83 years on earth.
You need to post more of that stuff because I enjoy watching all them old people doing that stuff. I really enjoyed.
Well, wait, listen, Jason. So Portia has been out. She went on her little sojourn to Arizona. And then she was out for a couple of days last week for just, some personal reasons or whatnot. And Jack was missing her. Like she's been forcing hugs on him like mad lately. And like at first he was like, oh, cooties, like just couldn't even, just please, just no. And today she was gone for like all last week. And he came in, she got there. He gave her the biggest hug and he was so excited. And then I was like, Jack, did you tell Portia how much you missed her? And he was like, no, really, it's not the same without her here. And like, it was just awesome. And like, it's just to that point, like when you're not there, you really realize what you're missing when somebody might be bothering you or poking at you or triggering you or whatever it is. And then they're not there. And in that absence, you realize how much you love someone or something, and on so many levels in our life, and even like the absence of spirituality or any of it. So I wanted to say one other thing. Go ahead if anybody wanted to respond to that, but yeah, that was awesome example.
I was going to say to that topic was they say we talk about unconditional love on this thing a lot, but I listened to a speaker the other day talk about, I think he was talking about more relationship in his marriage and his life, and it was like, if you can't see somebody at their ugliest and darkest and shittiest moment in time and still look at them and say, I'm sitting right here, it's safe, it's okay, all these things. If you can't do that, then it is an absence to that person. Like, well, how is it affecting the person more than it is, you saying. And he was harping on like, you do it over, you start to change the brain pattern in a person, whereas that person maybe once wasn't felt looked at, or didn't want the hugs, or was like, don't touch me, but the second, if you've done it long enough, if the pattern's been done, not one day, but if you got on it and harp it, and you're in there and you're hugging them, it's like, I don't care, I'm unconditional, I'm here for you, I'm safe, it's all good, we're friends, we love each other, you're the best. And then you are gone for a day.
Right. Yeah.
For a day, he's kind of like, can go in a nervous wreck. Like, and I think that's the point. Like, if we're consistent over time with this love, or what we're purposed here for, can we change and break down these fucking walls that people already have that exist? The answer is yes. Because you'll see it in the absence in a hurry like that. Like, holy shit. Well, what do you mean she took off? She has days off? Like, what? Well,
Yeah.
tell me. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Well, just like we go to our church, there's this lady at our church. No matter what, she gives the boys a hug and me a hug and everything else. So before we leave, she'll chase you down otherwise. So we just go up to her. Okay.
yeah.
Just like what you were saying. It's consistent.
And I think like what you do now echoes out into eternity, right? And so like, I mean, for me, I think that's a part of my superpower, right? I know how to win people's hearts over. It's just who I am.
But it
That's
does
important.
actually change the vibration, and that's the quantum
Well,
leap, the tipping
I
point
think like,
that we talk
well,
about.
I think like when you are on a certain vibration, you can start to change somebody else's vibration and being in that. And I think like the way that I live is like, I think that the smallest act of caring for anyone or anything, it has that ripple effect, right? And like you think like when we think of like we're stepping into that leadership role of who we want to be, we need to meet people where they're at, right? And we've talked about this last week, and just accepting them for where they're at and meeting them where they're at, and then making them feel seen, heard, and loved for who they are in the present moment, and not trying to want to change them, because that's not really what it's about. It's just about, this is who you are, this is who I am, this is what I can do for you, or this is what I can offer for you, or who I can be, and then you be you. And wherever that goes, like sometimes we'll never know, and like I think it's a lot of times it's often that hug that you give, or someone you say hello to, or someone that you never met again, or they're like, they go home and they're like, hey, that nice guy, he like did this for me, or he carried my bag, or like, you know what I mean? And then that was maybe enough to get them through the next day. Or sometimes those are like the kind of things that turn into somebody contacting you later on, or they're like, it turns into some kind of friendship, or you end up vibing with them again somewhere along the line. Like I think like no interaction is ever like, it's always teaching you something, right? We're always getting taught a lesson somewhere along the line, and it's up to us to make that choice how we want to show up in it.
Is that a John Legend that sings that song? You be you and I'll be me.
Love that song.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing song, like goosebump song. Like, but
Yeah.
like, how true are the lyrics of like Portia saying, it's not our job to change somebody and lean in and force it, because that takes energy from us too.
Well, also we can't.
Yeah.
Well, and then when
we can't change anyone or anything.
And when we force it, it's the resistance, right? But if we just come in and we vibe and we just be who we are, just like when I walk into that gym on Monday and Wednesdays, I show up as me, and whoever wants to like, what I want to say, like who wants to benefit from what I have to offer, like it's there. Like I'm here, if you want it, like you can have it. You know what I mean? Like, and like, if it's not for you, like it's not for you, you know what I mean? But and I think a lot of times, like you said, often there are people who will never speak up and say one word about the way you made them feel, but we always know that a lot of times it is how we made somebody feel, right? And I think like you can, just so you know, this is where like even you can change somebody, it's just not on your terms. Well, right, exactly. And I think
but it's not you, isn't that part of the ego piece though? I mean, it's not us that's changing them. All we're doing is modeling the alternative and alternative. If you like anything you see, I'll share everything I know or that I've learned so far, humbly knowing that I'm far from perfect, but I cannot, believe me, that's the complete opposite of how I felt most of my entire life. Whereas I 100% thought I could change everyone and everything. And I had complete and total control, but through manipulation and contriving and, you know, whatever.
Hold on. So I want to speak on that real quick because there's a very, very clear line to me, and there's a big gray area in this one, what we're talking about. I'm saying, what I'm really saying is we can change people with a very clear line of where they are and where our ego ends, meaning it's not a responsibility to change people. It's not a responsibility to make them do something they're not ready to do in this part of their season of life, or want to do even, or choose to do. I'm more saying we can change people by our presence, our continuance presence of who we are, so modeling like you're saying, and still pushing them a little bit, but not to the point where it takes from us or it's not wanted by them. And that's what I mean, like the situation you talked about in the example with him was he wasn't pushed too far. Obviously, we see that now. But when the absence was gone, something changed in him as a human. Now that's changing somebody without forcing them to do something they don't want to do in this lifetime. So I think there's a very clear line. I've crossed it many times. I've been victim of crossing this fucking line all over the place. Like I'll get into somebody's shit and think that through showing up and kindness and all my work I've ever done, that I can help change you. Get the fuck out of my way and let me do it. You know what I mean? Like to the point of like almost like get out of your own life. Let me fix it. You can come back in when you're home.
Yes, because because we're impatient in those ways, because that's not the second grade going back and like giving them the stepping stones. It's like, let me just step aside. Let me just fix your life real quick.
And that part, you can never change.
That's over.
Right. You know, my friend, he always says that, like, I'm the guide on the side. Like, I'm just over here. Like, I can show you what I do. Like, it's just a guide on the side. I'm like, I'm not a guru. I'm not like, you know, I'm not God or anything. I'm just a guide on the side over here, and take what you want. You know what I mean? Kind of like in that respect, like what resonates with you. And when you're ready, like it's there. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's like, look, we all educate ourselves, right? It's like we go to a course. Sometimes we're excited, we take all of it and run with it. Sometimes we're like, okay. Some of the things are boring and I'm above it. Right. Or going on a guided tour, it's like, I shouldn't have paid for this. Should have done myself.
Like, it's even like sometimes when you read a book or you're listening to a podcast, you're like, okay, like sometimes you don't even finish it because it just doesn't click with you. It's like, okay, like there's not really much in here that I'm getting.
So I love,
you know what I will say is that, like, for my personality, I know I don't really take compliments well, or like, you know, I'm a little bit like that too, a little bit of resistance around me in those ways. I don't know, it's just whatever it is. So, but I will admit though, that this thing about absence resonates with me in ways that I've had many like friendships and different situations in life where, and because I've traveled and lived lots of places where I've spent like some really intensive bunch of years in a row with some people and made these like familial bonds, and then not seeing them for anywhere from 1 year to 14 years or something, or see them a couple of times in between. And, you know, with most of those people, it's like you're thick as thieves and it feels so good and whatnot. But then there's those people that, you know, like Mike said in the beginning, you just, time goes by, you know, it's like some days can last like 23 years, and then 23 years goes by and you're like, holy crap, your kid is 20. Like, what happened? And, in those situations, when I reconnect with people, I will say that one time that my heart always does flutter a little, and I truly am like happy and have like a legit smile, is when someone remembers something really small that meant a lot to them. That's something I just do without even thinking, like making a cup of tea. Like, you always made me cup of teas in 1990, or like some weird random little thing. That always feels good. And so that took absence for them to remember, or even me to acknowledge that I do, as a form of love or whatever. It was cute.
I got a stupid one on your point to that.
Nothing is ever stupid.
No, this is a stupid one, because when I heard it, I was like, why would I was thinking more they were stupid, because I was like, why would you not know that? Somebody I dated one time said to me, like after we broke up, it was years after, I was still friends with her, and years gone by, I haven't seen her and talked to her. And we reconnected or something. And we were chatting on the phone, shooting the shit about her life and all that stuff. She goes, you know what I remember about you? And she think of what? Thinking like anything like coming up that I've done amazing for this woman. She's like, I remember in the bathroom one time, you were brushing your teeth and like you were telling me how you get behind the bottoms of the back of your teeth, like how long you spend there. I'm like, what? It's like,
That's
yeah, I never
important.
brushed me.
Of all the things.
And I was just like, one, I was thinking like, how, the teeth have both sides, one, right? You just fucking brush the outward facing shine in the world. But I thought in my head when you said that, I was like, what? But thinking about it now, how you said that, that's a small thing. Like, how does somebody prioritize that as a memory?
It's an intimate thing that has nothing to do with sex. It's about people seeing you and knowing you and catching a little
100%.
glimpse of you, like
Exactly.
100% vulnerably you, how your best friends know you, all the
Right.
little nuances about
Practicing
someone
your
who's really
own
spent
life.
time with you.
Yeah, you practicing your own life in front of somebody and they pick up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you got to brush the back of your teeth.
Special.
Yep.
I want to share one more thing that when you were talking about how not being starstruck and how like it doesn't matter who you are and celebrity or all these words we've made up and the levels of people and whatnot, same thing. Like it's just, we're just human beings going through it. And I remember like, you were kind of climbing the ladder to success and, meeting the marks that, you were after. And I don't know, you were probably like midway in. I don't know if this was 10 years ago or when it was, but as my little brother, like 6.5 years younger than me growing up, when you were a little boy, Michael Jordan was like the sports guy that every single child and especially boy looked up to because he could fly. Like then what? Like to kids, it was like the biggest thing that had ever happened other than like ice cream, right? And you called me like midway in your career or whatever, and you're like just casually like we do or whatnot. I said, what are you doing and not whatnot? And I'm swimming in Michael Jordan's pool, and he's cooking on the grill. And we're just chatting or whatever. And we got talking about that later on in life and just about not being starstruck and, not airing anything in life, but just that you could be there as just a person in someone's pool having like cooking out on a summer night. And he could have had the same similar stories as we've had growing up or at any hardship that anyone's gone through.
Yeah.
And in that moment, he's just a person.
Right.
No matter what the world perceives him as, it's just two guys talking about being human beings.
Correct.
And I just thought that was such a neat, special moment because you spend your whole childhood looking up to different, gods on some level. And then there you are man to man. And that's all it is, man to man.
Right.
Interesting.
In each other's eyes, right? So
yeah.
Look, if we can, I think what I want to kind of leave on is I would challenge us, this group, our people here to try to trigger that greatness piece in somebody else, and not to this group, not to people we already know that you can do it with. challenge somebody that maybe you see every day, or maybe it's the same shop you go to, or maybe it's somebody at work, a coworker, maybe it's somebody in your family close, that without being intrusive and invasive and forcing your will on them, because not everybody's where we are, not everybody's ready for anything, but try to trigger some of that self-greatness in somebody this week. Try to get somebody's attention. And that could just simply by carrying their groceries or complimenting them in the store.
Well, you know what I did today? They are looking
tell
for, at work today, because the other summer help they're out of hours, 600 hours, wherever it is, but they still have a budget for another 600 hours, but they can't keep that guy working. So I said, I just left today and I called a buddy of mine, his dad or his father-in-law. I said, hey, is Luke still out of work? He goes, yeah. I said, he's worked, but not a lot over the years, he's just whatever, but he does work when he works. And I said, is he out of work now? And Jim goes, yeah, he's out of work. I said, well, tell him to get to the Albany shop. I put a good word in for him. And he goes, you did? I said, tell him to get over there right now. And he goes, I will. And Luke called me tonight. He was all excited. So that made me, I said, Luke,
Yes.
you better not let me down. I put a darn good word in for you, and I know somebody else did too. I said,
Jason, I'm glad
"Do
you
not
said
let
that
me
last.
down."
I'm glad you said that last part because Jason just ended it in a perfect way. He went out on a limb with somebody else, which we've all done. And I just told you, I've done a lot and gone too far on the limb. I've trusted
what
that
I was
person
worried
will
about
not
today.
fuck me. Yeah. But what you said at the end there is very important to reaching out, doing, and seeing somebody else, right? Is to let them also know your line. Don't be rude about it. You can tell them don't fuck me or anything like that, but look, your line is
I put my,
I am
I
doing
put you on,
exactly.
I'm on the line. I put a
Exactly.
good word in for you. Do not let me down.
And that makes
And I told
boundaries
them
for
Well, and
at the
him.
end of the
also
night.
That
we
makes
can only
boundaries for
give
you.
people we can only give people an opportunity. What you do with it is yours. It's like,
Right.
here's
Yep.
not, that's my
That's
new
what I did.
boundary. Yeah, that's the new
Yeah.
boundary.
Yeah.
Here's an
Right.
opportunity and it's yours if you want, but I have nothing to do with it going after that.
Nope. After
know.
that, nope. But I
Yeah.
put a good word in for him.
All right,
I
well,
tell
I'm
my
looking-
bank teller all the time, I'm like, there's banks in Sarasota. Like,
Yeah.
why are you here?
I'm looking forward to starting next week and we chat about inexperience of the week. You know, we haven't really done homework before, so it's not really my job to give you homework, but let's try it. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can all have a little bit of a mini story to tell or experience that we reached out to somebody.
What's the homework?
It's
Reach
trying
out to a stranger. change their lives.
trigger some greatness inside of a stranger and just see what
Started
the
it.
looks like.
Yeah, okay.
That one doesn't
All
count,
right.
Jason.
What?
Start over. Jason has to start over. He's trying
Oh,
to get
yeah,
out of the
yeah, yeah.
homework.
He has to start over.
We all do.
Yeah.
Don't act like you're like thinking through it, Portia. You do it every
I'm
day.
Yeah,
not
Yoda.
thinking-
Yoda.
I'm
Just
not
put it
thinking
together on
through it. I'm
paper.
just,
She's like, I'm gonna have like
Next
30
week.
stories by next Monday. What do I tell them?
I'm just taking that in. No, I was
Alright.
just
Harold, no.
being
That's
present.
our greatness assignment for the week. Trigger somebody that is maybe not self-aware at the moment. Maybe it's not paying attention to these things. Maybe that needs a little spark or a kick in the ass or just a compliment or a fucking
I think
how you
like
doing?
think of it like enrollment, kind of like
Right.
enrollment, right? You're not like it's not like you're just enrolling them in like this new vision of who they could
Right.
be.
Love it. Enrollment. Sign somebody up. If we do good
Right.
this
Sign
week,
somebody up.
if we do good this week, we'll start talking about the financial benefits of this whole operation. We'll start charging people. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Hey, does this one count? I just told you, just in case
Crypto.
I can't find another one.
Yeah.
Jason, we're gonna
Yeah, you
start
can
a
hold
crypto-
on to that one.
Can we start like a crypto group?
Yeah. It costs
Okay.
25 crypto coins to get into this group.
Yeah, but if
All
we
right.
enroll someone, we get 50 free.
Right. I'll give you all the pink coins you want. They're not worth shit, but I'll give them to you. All right. I appreciate you guys. Love you.
All right,
Love
love you guys.
too.
Love
See you
you.
next
Bye.
Monday.
Well,
Peace out.
good night.